Good morning, El Paso Cougars. I hope you guys all had a fantastic weekend. We are going to spend our late start this morning reviewing some information related to cyberbullying. Before we get into some specifics, I think it's really important for us to review what cyberbullying is. In terms of the intent, there's no difference between cyberbullying and traditional bullying. That intent is still to humiliate, harass, or threaten a victim. The main difference is in cyberbullying, electronics are a factor. And one specific concern is that this greatly increases the audience of the bullying event. Our students have access to more devices than they've ever had. And in fact, each of our students has their own device that we've provided to them. And this is really important to consider when thinking about cyberbullying because it can happen on multiple devices across multiple platforms, including email, chat, social media, individual messages, games, and apps. A lot of the things our students use consistently. Cyberbullying is not limited to the United States. It is a growing worldwide problem, and because of this, it has become a pervasive term in our world. When we look at cyberbullying and the forms it takes, some of them are things that we see in traditional bullying: harassment, dissing or negative comments, and even trolling. Although trolling online can take on a, a specific degree of harshness, I don't think we always see in person trolling, where someone makes a positive comment and they are attacked for specifically making that comment. Cyber stalking is a form of cyberbullying. Exclusion can be both a form of traditional bullying and cyberbullying. And then also the creation of false profiles, and specifically frapping, where a bully will impersonate a victim and create a false profile in order to post things. And then also catfishing, where a bully will look at a victim's profile and then use it to create a fictional profile to entice information out of that victim. And then that leads us to outing, where information that has been shared in confidence is shared to the masses. And then also, and all of these are forms of trickery. And really, it's important to note that cyberbullying spreads like a virus in our building. And sometimes we don't know who is being subjected to it because we can't always see the symptoms or the impact that those symptoms are having. So when we look at who is targeted by cyberbullying, most of our students will experience at least one form of cyberbullying by the time they're 18. We know that in our building, specific populations are going to be targeted at a higher rate for cyberbullying. One of the resources that I read spoke about a girl who was bullied and ultimately driven to suicide because she dared ask out and date some boys in her school that girls thought she shouldn't ask out and date. We know that our LGBTQ students are at a higher rate for being bullied electronically and in person, as well as our students with exceptionalities. When we look at the broad picture, girls are twice as likely to be victims of cyberbullying, and they are also twice as likely to be the perpetrators. I know that as educators, we are all focused on making sure our students master content. But I'm going to be really honest with you. When I look at the impact cyberbullying has on our kids, the academic consequence is the one I'm least concerned about. And I'm not saying that students skipping school and falling behind academically isn't important. But when we look at our students as a whole child, that increased chance that the victim will become a bully in the future, that long-term toll bullying has on a student's mental health and self-confidence are so important. But even those aren't as important as the fact that that pervasive helplessness and hopelessness can drive victims of cyberbullying to suicide. So as these consequences crystallize, it created in me, and I hope it creates in all of us, an urgency to do whatever we can to limit the impact of cyberbullying in our building. And part of that is letting students know what they can do. If students find themselves the victim of cyberbullying, we need to let them know that they can stand up for themselves. They can speak up, and where they can stay away from their bully. And I know that it's incredibly hard for students to do this by themselves. And so my hope is that they can find a trusted adult in our building that they can talk to about this. And I know that I've spoken with you guys before about how I believe relationships are key in our school. The relationships that our students have with each other, the relationships you have with each other for support. But so critical is the relationship that you have with your students. Students who know about cyberbullying can report that to us, and that's where that relationship piece comes in again. Where appropriate, they can gather evidence. If they don't feel comfortable coming to us, or even if they do, they can also report incidences to the specific website, app, or game. Students can demonstrate that they care for each other. And I don't think we should underestimate how important that is. One student can make an impact. But I think as we've talked and looked at how we can work together to maximize our impact, our students can do the same thing. And our students can work together in all of these to maximize their impact. They can tell bullies to stop and not encourage that behavior. And they can not give up. They can be persistent and determined. Then also they can find a trusted adult to consult on this. Most importantly, though, we want to make sure our students know that their safety is our utmost concern. It's important for us also to know what we can do. I've talked with you a lot about how important I think the partnerships that we build with our students' parents are. And I know that we're never going to get to 100%. I know that we're always going to have those parents who are disengaged from us. But when we're communicating with our parents, we need to let them know that they can watch over their students' time online. They can encourage their children to talk about cyberbullying. And also, just simply spending time with children and talking with them. By encouraging our parents to do that, we can really help build those relationships and hopefully help our students find and have that trusted adult that they can talk to. We also do important work in our classrooms, and you guys can probably laugh at me as I'm saying this because you know that you do important work in your classrooms every single day, but specifically to cyberbullying. We can teach our students what to do when they're the victims of cyberbullying. We can also teach them what to do when they see it. One important misconception that we need to clear up is that when you delete a post, it's gone. And did you know, I didn't know, that the Library of Congress is archiving Twitter? And so tweets, posts, photos, they never disappear, even if they're deleted. They're always going to be out there in some form. We've worked through our social skills curriculum to build understanding and empathy in our classrooms, and we need to continue that work. We also need to continue to teach online safety skills to our students. Our students need to be able to know when they're being bullied. They need to know what to do about it, but most importantly, they need to be able to process their feelings in a way so they don't turn into bullies themselves. It's important also for us to know why we can do these things. State law, Kansas state law, prohibits bullying behavior. Federal law, in terms of federal law, cyberbullying can break federal law if a student's right to free speech or their civil rights have been violated. Court cases have been occurring related to cyberbullying for the last 10 or 15 years. And in those cases, courts have generally ruled that school districts can reasonably discipline students whose online actions create a disruption of an environment conducive to learning, even if that behavior occurred when students were not in school. And now, my hope and my expectation is if you are encountering a situation of cyberbullying to that extent, that you will let me know about it, because it's not something that I expect that you will address on your own. And that kind of goes back to that belief that I've stated with you before, where we are strongest when we are working together to address issues and solve problems. We have a responsibility. We all know this, to stop anything that's going to get in the way of our students having a safe environment that lets them learn. Our local board does have policies related to bullying. And specifically, the first one is actually bullying by staff. And it lets you guys know that you're not supposed to bully students. And if you do, you'll face disciplinary action. This is restated in staff and students relations. Our board addresses cyberbullying in its acceptable use guidelines policy, where it says that we will teach students about cyberbullying. Our board has a broad policy on bullying, stating that it's prohibited by our district, and then also states that parents who bully and engage in that behavior may lose access to district facilities. I know that this has been a pretty heavy topic to start our day. And so because of that, I want you guys to take some time to talk within your grade level teams about it. I want you to contact me if you have any questions. I'm down in the office. I'm available for meetings. You guys can always send me an email. Just let me know if you have questions or concerns about this. I also want you to spend some time just prepping for the week and collaborating with each other. Then, of course, if you are interested, there are some references. I will be sharing this presentation out with you shortly after we get through Late Start. So with that, I just hope you Cougars have a fantastic day. Please let me know if there's anything you need. Thanks.